4 years before, they had received a letter from a firm of lawyers in Ottawa stating that the residue of the estate of Colonel Jocelyn Carey, including Carey Island, the estate thereon known as Penarth, and the contents of its buildings, had been left to the Institute. The lawyers added that they understood that Penarth contained a large library of materials relevant to early settlement in the area. Lou and the director searched their files for references to Carey and sent researchers over to the provincial archives. They unearthed a file in the archaic handwriting of Miss Bliss, Lou's predecessor, regarding a visit from one Colonel Jocelyn Carey in 1944, during the course of which the bequest was proposed. The director had been overseas at the time, the Institute impoverished. Nothing was done to follow up the offer, and by the time Lou got her growing up over with and came to work at the Institute, Miss Bliss had long ago taken to drink and larded her files with many impossible suggestions. "Well," said the director cautiously, "we'd better not get our hopes up. It's never happened before." The relatives sued, of course. Carey Island, they had all found out, was no longer an isolated outpost on a lonely river. It had been transformed by automobiles, motorboats, long holidays, and snowmobiles and cash to real estate. While the director wangled legal assistance at the provincial government's expense, for the Institute had gradually been taken over, Lou dug and devilled in librarian files, praying as she worked that research would reveal enough to provide her subject with a character. The Canadian tradition was, she had found, on the whole, genteel. Any evidence that an ancestor had performed any acts other than working and praying was usually destroyed. Families handily became respectable in retrospect, but it was, as she and the director often mourned, hell on history. If Carey had had enough money and enough energy to build a house that far north and fill it with books, he was unusual. It was up to her to find out how unusual he was, and in the meantime to pray to whatever gods, muses, and members of Parliament overlooked the affairs of the Institute, that enough would be revealed to develop the dim negative of that region's history. The Colonel Carey who made the bequest had included an outline of his ancestors' accomplishments. It appeared that the old colonel, born the year of the outbreak of the French Revolution to a good but untitled Dorset family, had been sent for a soldier at an early age, and served in Portugal and Sicily during the Napoleonic Wars. At the age of 20, he had married a Miss Arnold, whose father was adjutant of the troops stationed at Messina. He had risen in the ranks of the artillery, bred a number of children on his wife, served with distinction in a number of campaigns in the Po Valley, and returned to England with his brood at the end of the wars, unemployed. All this information had been verified by references to land titles, commissions, military recommendations, and citations. During his military service, the descendant noted, the colonel had become attached to the idea of living on an island. The family legend was that one hot summer, stationed on Malta, he opened an atlas of the New World, closed his eyes, and picked out Carey Island with a pin. Lou thought of him sitting on a portable military thunderbox, groaning with summer dysentery, longing for cool water. No pin was necessary. After a futile search for employment in England, he sold what property he owned there and moved with his family to Toronto, then York, in 1826. Good. He was in the records. Carey, Colonel John William, Shooter Street, No. 22. Gentleman. It was not until 1834 that he obtained the charter, your petitioner humbly sheweth, to settle Carey Island, having promised to build a lumber mill and provide a sailing ship for trade in the region. My grandmother, wrote the descendant, however, refused to go further into the wilderness and face the inclemencies of the north. She was meridional in temperament, if not in ancestry. The colonel was forced to leave her behind in York with her daughters and the younger sons. He went north with his second son, Rupert. I believe the oldest, Thomas Bedford Carey, was delicate, as he was buried in 1841 in the Necropolis Cemetery, and lived on the island very simply for the rest of his life. Official references to Carey were scant. His petition for settlement of Carey Island